Okay, so today we're looking at the Ox Stomp from UA. So back in late 2017, early 2018 for the NAMM show, UA introduced the Universal Audio Ox Box. I mean, we've seen this used on stages and in studios all over the world now, and it was the first of its kind to allow guitar players to achieve really amazing tones straight into a PA or into a studio desk environment, and basically it removes the need for using a speaker and mics and all that kind of stuff, and takes kind of the stress away of trying to get a really good guitar tone effectively. I mean, we see them, it's not just for guys that, you know, that play at home. You see them on professional stages all over the world because the tone is just so good, so consistent. And we're now seeing the Ox Stomp, which is essentially all of the processing side of the original Ox without the reactive load attenuator. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it, Pedro.
Yeah, no, thank you, John. Yeah, so basically what we have, as you describe, is the technology that by now it's been present on many different scenarios like live studio environment, and we put it on a stomp format so you can use it in a slightly different way that you would use Ox. So Ox Stomp operates at line level or instrument level, so will not do the reactive load of things. But this puts it in a different kind of place, so you can pair it with different pedals. So any pedals like the ones we do, where you can switch off the speaker emulation, you can then put Ox Stomp afterwards to give you what Ox is known for, which is its dynamic speaker modeling and room modeling. That is the magic sauce that really makes Ox sound so good. So we're not using impulse responses, we're using this technology. Today we're going to also be checking it in another use case I really like, which is when you combine it with some fabulous tube amps like the ones you got here, and using a reactive load already that you can feed just line level into Ox. So we're going to have a listen of that later. Pair it with any of your favorite, you know, amp in a box kind of pedals. As long as you can switch off speakers, then you can introduce Ox Stomp as your, you know, speaker modeling technology.
So in a nutshell, the Ox Stomp is to replace in your chain, it would be the speaker cabs and the mics and the room sound effectively.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, with what we're doing today and the setups that we're running with the valve amps, we're not using any cabs, so all the sounds that you're going to hear today are just recorded, and we're just using a couple of monitors just so that we can hear in the room. So when we're using the valve amps, we're going straight out into a SIR reactive load, and then the line out is being fed into the Ox Stomp.
So you have 6 microphones to play with, exactly like we have on the Ox itself, 22 speakers to choose from, and the app will be connected via Bluetooth to the Ox Stomp, and we can then go in and dial in all those different things. We also have reverb and delay to play with, compression to add master EQ on top. That will be part of the master effects section, and every single microphone can be EQ'd to your heart's content. You have countless possibilities. You can pan around the microphones. So once you start going down the tone quest journey to really fine-tune that tone you're after, you can go as deep as you want within the app, or like we said, you know, when we were playing, you can also just grab that preset as a starting point and just build some levels from the pan pots over here, your room level, and even toggle between different microphones. But if you want to go deeper, then just grab the app.
What we've found so far is the sounds that come out of the unit straight out of the box are amazing, and if you never even open up the app, you'd still be really satisfied with your purchase, because the tones that are in there straight away are great. There's, you know, there's countless amounts of flexibility and kind of tweaking that you can do with it. When you add the app to the journey, it kind of opens up the world to more studio grade kind of uses, doesn't it? So like you say, with the reverbs, the delays and all that kind of stuff.
Production, you know, guitar production to, you know, turn it to 11.
Yeah, exactly. But
really,
if you just want to be a plug in and play, it's great. But if you're a tweaker, it's got all that stuff in there as well. So I think we better just plug in and check out some tones, I reckon. Let's go for it. Friedman BE100. We're starting off on the like the first gain stage, as it were, and I'll switch over to the higher gain sounds. Just try going over to that higher gain sound now.
Yeah.
So try a little bit of lead.
You know, if you want, we can even exaggerate the room a little bit more. It's just good.
That sounds great. That's killer.
And of course, you know, put it to a more civilized point around there. But yeah, so you have the possibility to dial that in right from the pedal and go from that tone. Of course, we can also go to something a bit more extravagant, like this kind of stuff.
Just been messing around with that all day.
Yeah, so this is where you can go into the app and really dive in and take further, if that was too much repeats and all of that stuff, you can then grab it in and just tweak it until you feel like, okay, dial the sound to your playing into perfection. But yeah, the possibilities are huge. But right from the get-go, the presets are already setting you on a certain path, on that tone quest and some good vibes. Again, so we got those 6 rigs that you can recall at any point right from the middle dial that will be transferred into whatever switch you have on, and you can navigate between your 2 favorite of the 6 just by going back and forth, and that's what we did earlier. Loads more in here that we can go. So if I now go here, that will be a different sound again.
Yeah.
Once you have a tone that you feel like, oh, this is quite cool, and you want to, customize a little bit further, what I'd like to do is then you can, start messing with the levels of the different mics. So right now we should be hearing just room tone. Start to bring the direct mic. And then bring the other one.
I mean, for me, the Ox, when I first heard that, it was all about that room thing. As someone that's like, I love all the, the classic 60s, 70s guitar tones, there's always been so much of that lovely room sound in there. So whenever I've recorded in the past, you get that sterile sound and, the sound of the mic right on the speaker. I always found it a real struggle. But using that room is really kind of what just adds the weight and the depth to the sound, doesn't it?
And let's not forget, there's a lot of genres throughout the 90s and 2000s. More or less so now it's, maybe there's a bit of a... Certain genres require like very tight sounds and there's less of a natural room.
Oh yeah, totally.
But, that big guitar sound with just a bit of information of room just brings it together in such a cool way.
If you was playing like metal stuff and you're going for the tightest sound possible, then the room's gone. But just add a bit of life back into the sound. It's great, isn't it? Maybe can we just go between the room being completely off, just to about halfway. So just play something there, Aaron, and then we'll play the same thing with the room on.
Yeah.
It just takes that peak away from it, doesn't it? And just gives it that kind of little bit of extra weight behind the sound.
Yeah. And again, keeping in mind room mic-wise, you have different options. So we have some stereo options with condenser microphones, but then you also have mono options as well. And that room mic can also be panned if you want to create like some interesting stereo sounds, where you might have your mic, you know, direct mics just on the left channel, and then you have your room on the right, which can give you some cool options. So yeah, we had a bit of fun, you know, just dialing the mic levels from the pedal itself. But if we go into the app, this is where we can take things further. So we're talking about that, we have that lovely room sound, but I can further customize the room sound from the app itself. So currently we are in a condenser stereo, but what if we go into, I don't know, a ribbon mono, all of a sudden we have this sound. And because we can pan the room around, I can bring this completely to the right. And then our mic 2, which is a condenser sound, I'm actually going to mute it. And now we're going to have just mic 1, which is another condenser, on your left, and everything room-wise on your right. And this is the tone we get. Go for it.
Like it's a doubler type sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah, double tracked.
Yeah. So you can see from a guitar production point of view, the possibilities when you start to have the ability to play with the mics this way. And this is even before we start to touch effects. You know, start using reverb, pan it around, and stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, you have loads of possibilities just playing with that one amp. But of course, you know, the whole magic is playing with all the different amps.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden we go back to, so we started on a big, you know, 4x12 sound, and then we then went into like that mod, you know, wide mod delay. That's the preset we use to give us that ping pong delay.
Yeah.
But we can now jump into this tiny combo with lots of room, and this is the tone.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, we went from that, you know, obviously the whole weight that you have with the 4x12s, but once you go into the 1x10, that compact and punchy sound. Once again, we're not losing any stereo width because both microphones are open wide. We have dynamic 421 on your left and a condenser 414 on your left. Some EQing going on, but you can go deeper, do your own EQ on individual mics. So it's a tweaker's delight, basically. If you want to go further and further down that rabbit hole, you can just go on as much as you desire. Save the preset, recall it as a rig. You don't even need to touch the app anymore at that point. That will be stored as one of your favorite 6 rigs, and then you can recall any of those favorite 6 from the switches here. Okay. At the moment, you got it on the default mode that the pedal loads with, which is recall one of the rigs on switch A and then go quiet, and recall the other rig from pedal B and then go quiet. But in a scenario like the one we're using today, where we're using you know, a reactive load box, you might never want to be completely quiet because all of a sudden all you hear is just the amp sound, which for reference would be something like that. Over your head.
Tasty.
So you can dial the pedal in different modes, where all of a sudden what we can do is have toggle. You're now seeing on your screen from the app all the options you have. But you can also have a very cool option where all of a sudden you can put A, B, and will be toggled from here. So we move between rigs here. And then I can bring in the effects on and off from here.
Oh, nice.
Really
nice.
So let's look at what we got dialed in. But if I remember correctly, that first delay sound we had on the wide mod delay, so let's put that as our rig A, so I can switch on and off the delay here. So if you play now, please. There's no delay. So you can see, or you can have all the effects on and off at the same time from there. And as a reminder, exactly like we have on Ox, when we're talking about effects, it will be anything from master EQ, compressor, delay, and reverb. And of course, that compressor is not any compressors, our 1176. There you can go in and dial and just, loads tonal
I
possibilities.
think it is a tweaker's delight, but at the core of the product it's all about the quality of the sound, isn't it? And I think that we're going to have a lot of customers that will want to deep dive into it, but I think a lot of guys and a lot of our customers will just find like their 6 favourite sounds, or maybe even 1 or 2. It's all about just getting that best possible tone. And and then using their pedal board or whatever it is to get the extra effects and things like that. But
once you have that tone dialed in, you have different ways of recalling it, as we can see it here. And like we did earlier, I think the interesting thing is you can use the presets as starting, as a jumping point, and then dial in by taste how much of the blend, mics and room, which is going to really give you that.
When I first tried the Ox and I tried the app, I would, if I was using, a 2-rock amp or something like that, I would go through the presets until I thought, I think that's going to be one that, is a good starting point, and then maybe switch off some of the reverb or change the mics around. And I found that was the easiest way to find a good core, solid tone, and then change things up from there. So it's great having all the presets because it helps you guide yourself into the right direction.
And even just having the possibility to dial right from here. So let's go back to that more of a chunky tone that we had going on here. I can still select different mic options from here, which will obviously the app will reflect, but makes me jump between different colors in tone. So you can see as I moved the switch on mic 2, the app responds as well. And this already sets me up to get, once again, different colors. Okay, so the only reason I'm bringing this up as well is like if you then want to tweak it further, open the app. But from the pedal itself, you have all those customization options that I think, really speaks to that hands-on experience. So it really comes down to you, how you want to, or once you are in the zone, do your initial tweaks or final tweaks, depend where you started with the pedal itself.
Great. No. Can we just build like a basic preset? Now? So can you dial up is there like a Marshall or a British style cab with greenbacks in it, or 25 watt?
I do believe, because we do have a preset here that's called our default tone, and I think is that one, but I could be wrong.
I only feel like that's a good match for an amp like this sort of thing. So
So let's go. So the way the factory presets are organized is by size of cab.
Okay.
And so you were saying you wanted,
So a 412, like a basket weave cab with greenbacks or V30s maybe.
Yeah, I think that this is the kind of tone we're talking about. And again, if you go back into the editing page, there's an information tab, which once opened, it will tell you exactly what kind of speakers we're using. So we're using the green 25
there
watt.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's telling us if we use the speaker drive, we start to get a breakup on the high notes around F sharp and G sharp. Nice. Okay, starts with dynamic microphones on the dynamic 57 on mic 1 and a ribbon 1-to-1.
Perfect.
And
exactly
no white panning,
choose.
so everything's down the middle. And if you give it a
be like a stock preset that then I would work with from there.
Yeah. So again, from that point, you can start tweaking. Okay, I didn't like those microphones. Let me see what other options are available. So you go, okay, another flavor of ribbon, like the ribbon 160 instead of the 1-to-1, and you can start playing. Do you want the microphone on axis?
Yeah,
that's what we've done right now, and remove the low cut. So and then if you give us a play, I'll start to dial in levels of much more present. And because we remove that low cut, you're just getting a bit more body. File the right amount of level if we really want to, dial that in a little bit more aggressive. So
you go all ribbon and then just bring in that dynamic mic just to add a little bit of high end, don't you?
Yeah,
that works great. Like you would do in a regular studio environment if you were using the traditional mic setup.
And at this point, you can then start playing with the room mics and again introduce low cut or dampening. So if you wanted even a tighter sound on that room, let's do that. And let's low cut it to make it even tighter. And not even, we could even go further and apply EQ to the room, but we're just going to leave it at here. I think that's enough. So give us a play, please. Now the exact same thing. Exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
Got the exact.
But without
No
low
pressure.
cut and dampening. Give us a play, please. You heard it as I switch it halfway through, how it's just the room just gets tighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is before, like I said,
Any
now we can
reverbs
carry
or
on.
anything like that.
Yeah, we can carry on and just, put a bit of compression if we want it, just a bit of reverb, just...
Yeah, can we? Yeah, just try a little bit of reverb because we'll just
think the
dial
reverb-
up to the higher gain sound now.
So let's do that. So let's put some plate reverb in there.
Yeah.
So that's our reverb. Pan right down the middle, but we can get a little bit creative. And what if all of a sudden we try, okay, let's put our reverb to the right, but our room go back, just because we can, go back just to make it mono. And I tend to favor ribbon mics for the room, but this guy, put it all the way to the left. See how that sounds.
It's worth it just for that big room tone, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll pull it
It
back
makes
in the
it
middle
easy
in the
to
end.
play, doesn't it? Yeah, you can see, like what we said before. Normally when you sit and play in front of the monitors, you just feel dejected, don't you? You're just like, this tone, this is not what it feels like.
Yeah.
But that brings it really back into the right feel for the player, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you
so
can see
wide.
just hours and hours
So
of
wide.
tone seeking if you want. But like you said, after you dialed in a bunch of presets you really like, they will go into your user area of the app. You can choose from whatever we have built in. So there's over 100 presets. Save them as your favorites, and then once you narrow it down for whatever you need for when you're playing live or in the studio, then just put it here as your 6 recallable ones.
It's great to have all those different, different sounds, but 6 feels like a good amount, doesn't it? Right, cool. We're going to check out some clean tones. At the moment, we're using the 2 Rock Studio Signature. The reverb is off. We've got kind of, EQs pretty much all set flat, and we're going to try and kind of dial in a preset, find the right cab. I mean, again, we've sort of looked through the list of cabs. And there's one in there right away, isn't there?
Yeah, so you were saying that for this kind of combination, we got guitar and amp-wise, you were saying something like a D12 kind of vibe, like a preset call here, Big D's.
Yeah.
Let's give that a try and see how it feels. At this point, you can say, okay, yeah, I like where the tone is already, but let me check it with a different microphone. So you could either do it straight from the pedal or from the app, just go and tweak it to, okay, let's use a condenser instead. And on the other microphone, let's go with a ribbon. See where that takes it.
Yeah.
We can also introduce a bit of low cut just to make it even tighter if we want it.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen.
Yeah, I just think like the whole point is just how easy it is to match something up with the amp. You know, because like you can use a 412 or something like that and change the personality of the rig completely, and you can make, you know, we can make this sound completely different. But if you really want to match up the sound that you really like in the room, it's just really easy to achieve, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, straight away, the first sound that came with the cab was it.
Yeah, the preset design is absolutely glorious. Yeah, and we were playing as well, so there's another preset that we were having a little bit of fun earlier. And let's see if I still got that under our rigs over here. Yes, right here. So let's have a listen. I think this, again, another 1x12. But
112, okay.
So yeah, you'll see on your screen how this sound is done, how the panning, what kind of microphones we're using. I even touched the information tab. So you can go deep into what kind of microphones we're using, what they're famous for. And yeah, so it can be a little bit of a learning curve as well as from a production point of view, something then you can then go and test, you know, in the real room with mics and everything else if you wanted to.
Now that we matched up that tone really, really well, you know, to me that was the sound of the amp and the cab, you know, that we're used to hearing in the room when we record. Can we try? I really want to actually try and dramatically change the sound.
Okay.
So what I'd really like to do is if we can dial up that GB25 cab, and then maybe try some. I'm going to add in a little bit of gain from the Kingtone Dualist, but I really want to kind of like see how thick and how fat we can kind of get the sound just by using the settings in the Ox Stomp.
Okay, so you want to go back to the 4x12?
Yeah, let's try that.
Cool, let's do it.
So we're adding in the drive now. Can you just hit that humbucker for us?
And just assign it to our Footswitch, and then from there we start dialing it.
Yeah.
So we want to go back to 4x12 land, which, yeah, I do like that combo, to be fair. That kind of speaker setup. And open here. And we said we want to go as thick as possible. So let's see. Okay.
Should we try the maybe the ribbon and and then just bring in just a small amount of the dynamic mic?
Cool. So mic 1 being dynamic, which was already there.
Yeah.
But we're going to go with another flavor of dynamic, so the 421. I'm going to bring it down so we hear just the ribbon at this point. So I even removed the low cut, put it on axis just to get us a slightly different tone. I think it was getting a little bit, you know, just, it felt right to do. And now let's bring in the dynamic until we start to feel that extra. And at this point, of course, we can go further and just go into the EQing of a particular mic and exaggerate what the mic can offer. So while you play, I'm going to mess a little bit with different bands, okay? So you heard me switching on and off. You'll see it all on the app as it goes on and off. I dial something, exaggerating low mids and lows, give a tiny bit of boost as well in the highs, dip the mids, but then you can individually either kill those frequency bands or altogether remove the mic EQ. Okay, and that's just on one mic. Remember, you still have one master EQ, then you can just tie it all together. Plus, of course, then we can put some compression in. Let's try the compression, just kind of bring it up. Go for it. Yeah, so
see how I would use that then. I would have the traditional sound set up how we had it to start with on one, and then just switch to that when you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because it's almost turning this amp into a more of a British kind of sound, isn't it? It's giving like a fuller, you know, more mid-rangey kind of sound, whereas the two Rockies are traditionally a lot more of like a scooped kind of, you know, Fender-inspired kind of tone straight away. So
yeah.
Can we just add a little bit of kind of that? Can we add some of that lovely stereo delay?
Yes, we can. Yeah. So delay-wise, we have different modes, but I think the one we've been really feeling is this ping-pong delay. And let's unlink the times even. Let's bring it up. So yeah, you can even have, you know, the delay times could be synced or unsynced. So yeah, we had a slightly longer delay on your right channel. So yeah, you can go and tweak further, or you just go back to the dual mode, which is the default one that loads. Just everything just. Still does.
Wow, yeah.
Because we have different, because we have different times. But if we link them again.
Lovely,
Nice.
Very cool. I mean, it just shows you the versatility of the unit, how we've really been able to dial in the exact tone and then go, like, you know, the complete opposite end of the scale in terms of the cab and the frequency range that we're experiencing, you know, from the tone right now. So if you're looking like for, you know, lots of people come like the middle of the month or towards the end of the month, we see loads of like new pedal sales where someone buys themselves a new overdrive pedal, or they buy something, you know, that's going to give them a new sound. You can add this into your rig and completely change your whole signal flow, can't you? To a completely different tone.
And we'll see, you know, this is one use case we're using here where, you know, you happen to have a beautiful amplifier with a reactive load box, and then you just want to use our speaker modeling. But there's other places where you can be using this setup with, you know, obviously without it take further than what you have with our amps, you know, with Dream, with Woodrow, with Ruby, or any third-party modeler that you just want to use our speakers. Take advantage of the, you know, of the built-in effects, like you said, John. But in a studio environment as well, you can even use it as a reamping tool where you just drive signals back in, because this will, you know, very easily
handle that, no problem.
Handle line level, so you can take it further. Or, you know, with an amplifier from the effects loop, you can create a wet-dry rig. Possibilities are huge, I think.
Cool. So we're seeing more and more guitar players these days going ampless, you know, due to, you know, whether it's volume, you know, stage volumes happen to be quiet, you know, they're just home tweakers and they have no need for, you know, huge big valve amps and stuff. So another use that we want to show is using, you know, essentially what is an amp in a box type sort of pedal. And of course we're using the Dream 65 here, which is a big Peach favourite anyway. But we're going to use the Ox Stomp to see how we can enhance that sound and kind of, you know, again, dial in some reverb, some delays, compression with the max there as well.
Yep.
And I think just, you know, again, just highlight the versatility of what these units can do. So
cool. So at the moment, what we have is maxed, a little bit of preamp, touch of compression, 8-to-1 on the 1176 mode, slow release and fastest attack. And this is the tone we got with the Dream on the EV12 speaker.
the Ox Stomp off, right?
Ox Stomp off, just a Dream, so you can hear it. Thank you. Very nice playing. So what you can do with any of our amps, you know, such as the Dream 65, the Ruby, and Woodrow, is you can actually, as you toggle through the speakers, so you have your initial 3 with the red LED. Once you register your pedal, you get another 3 amps, which will be speakers, sorry, which will be highlighted in green. And if you carry on, you get to a 7th state, which is just a power amp, but no speaker. And now we're going out of the Dream into the Ox Stomp. We switch on.
So that means you could use essentially, you know, any kind of thing like, you know, Kemper, Axe-FX, any of this kind of thing with this sort of unit then, as long as you turn off the speaker element of that unit.
Yeah, so you can, yeah, very good point, John. Yeah, so if you want to use Ox Stomp, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, any of those like amp in a box type units, be it whether it's a single analog style, you know, distortion pedal or a, you know, super complex multi-effects amp modeler type sort of unit, you just got to turn off that speaker sim.
Yeah, as long as you feed line level into the Ox Stomp or instrument level, you're absolutely fine. And yeah, as long as the unit you use it, like this one over here, allows it to completely switch off any speaker emulation.
With that, because, you know, the point being with that is if you don't, you're not, you know, it's going to be coloured, the Ox's results. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to jump in there. I just thought that was quite an important point for a lot of people. So. Okay, so which speaker are we using at the moment?
So we're using the 4x12s, the GB25. That's what we got dialed in there, with a dynamic 57 and the ribbon 121 and a stereo room mic. So the Dream is the only one of our pedals who has no room sound. So here you can dial that in. We can go obviously with other options. So what kind of speaker are we feeling?
I think, why don't we try like a 212 open back? Because traditionally, I guess the amp style that we would be using would be a 112 open back, but let's just see what kind of low end we can get out of an open back 212 cab.
2x12 two verb or 2x12?
Yeah, let's try that, because I reckon that's going to be the one.
Okay, same mic setup, we just changed the cab, so let's hear it.
it's just a bit more polite, I guess, and a bit more open sounding than that closed back 412 sound.
A little bit airier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
I mean that tone there is as good as kind of anything that we've got so far, you know. So
Yeah, when we were playing earlier was just, you know, with an amplifier and then kind of dialing in. So what you can do in a setup like this, so if you want to be jumping between using the Ox Stomp with Dream, all you have to then, or if you want to go back to use whatever built-in speakers you got in Dream, all you have to do is, if you save the preset where you have a built-in speaker, which, oddly enough, we were using the EV12 as well, switch off, and this was back to just using Dream. We saved it without no reverb, so if we go back to our live mode, we have no cab. Put the speaker here and the reverb amount we got there, we now have our different tone. So this kind of presents a nice portable setup like we were saying earlier. So we have Max into the front of the amp to give you different driving options, and then jumping between different sounds using Ox Stomp to bring in extra speakers, etc.
I think for a lot of players out there, you don't have to go and just like completely, you know, redesign your whole pedal board. If you're looking, you know, if you've got your favorite selection of like, you know, 6, 7, 8 stomp boxes, but you want to have a fantastic ampless rig, Dream 65 or one of the other, you know, amp in a box type pedals and the Ox Stomp, you don't have to do loads of rejigging to get the sound that you need, you know, or buy new pedals like overdrive pedals or anything like that, because all of that stuff's going to give you an amazing low volume studio or live sound or an amazing studio sound, you know, and it's just, I think for me, rather than going through millions of different menus on, you know, like a multi-effects or modulus type sort of unit, because I'm so old school in the operation, that just, for me, just has the right feel to it and the right flow. You know, if I want less treble, it's just there for me to adjust. It's just like you know, all that versatility and performance, but it feels like in a really like old-fashioned analog format. We haven't really tried any of the other like time-based stuff.
No.
That's in there. Let's see what else that we've got going on. Get so many different tones by just adding in a couple of overdrive pedals in the front end, you know, to give you a couple of different kind of flavors to use with a couple of the presets from the Ox Stomp, and you're going to be able to go from clean, dry sound right through to a really heavily driven, modulated kind of sound, aren't you, if you really want it.
And of course, you know, if you want to use any effects after Ox Stomp, you can do that as well. So you were saying earlier, if you want to use Delverb after it, so yeah, the possibilities just keep adding up. Just treat it like if you would treat any other amp. You just put some, you know, it's like you're putting it in the effects loop, so to say. There was something else that we were chatting about earlier. You asked me, what if there was a way for me to still split the signal in case I wanted to reamp again further down the line? And I think using something like Max, or anything that you can use to split the signal, but I think Max is very cool for that option, because it will allow you to have a very nice DI sound anyway that you can dial in. And we have a new mode that will come out very soon, where effectively channel 1 will be compressor 1 with its own I/O, and channel 2 is whatever you want to dial in on the second compressor, and that could be your DI. So you split that, still your clean DI that you can further down the line reamp, and then this will be your live sound that you record on the day.
Because I know what would happen. I would always just dial in too much room sound. I feel like as soon as you hear it in in with the track, you're like, oh, you know, I sound like I'm playing down a well, or something like that. But.
So yeah, it's again, it's a good idea to, you know, capture a DI sound anyway, as you can then come back
and change things after.
Yeah, or just, you know, create a bigger stack by just piling different speakers, like we were saying, and just carry on having fun and adding that production in the studio, which is, you know, a big part of what you can do with Ox Stomp.
I know it's been a bit of a long one, but there is so many different tones and so many different ways that you can use this pedal. I say a pedal, but it really is kind of like a Swiss Army knife of microphones, speakers, studio grade quality effects. And I just really want to emphasize the point, I know I said at the start of the video, this can be as simple as you want it to be, or it can be, you know, as complicated as you want it to be. You don't need to be, you know, a super tech guy just to get the best out of this unit. At the core of it, it's all about just great tone, but if you want that extra versatility and be able to switch on the fly, you know, and use all the kind of different presets and the A/B switching and all that kind of stuff, it's got it all in there as well. But at the end of the day, all we really care about is tone, and that's what it's all about. And when we can't play that well and we don't want to practice, as long as we've got good tone, then who cares?
Loads of reverb.
And loads of reverb and that lovely ping pong delay. So anyway, head on over to the Peach Guitars website. If you've got any questions, please let us know, and just do all the usual things. Please like, share, subscribe, and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, good luck in your tone journey. All the best. Cheers. Bye-bye.